Well, hello everybody. Welcome to SkyTour LiveStream for this evening, January 17th, 2020. I have Daryl with me, and he's been talking to me about some of the Starlink passes he was trying to catch, the satellites. I was on a radio show yesterday, actually, where we actually talked about that. It was Lee Spiegel's radio show on KGRA Radio. And but first, before you go on, I just want to say hello, Tim. Hello, Bobby. Hope you guys are doing all right. Thanks for joining us. We are using the scope destined to be put in Arizona. It's here in our pier here in Connecticut. And I was dialing it in. Hi, Justin T. I was dialing it in tonight, and I figured I'll stream because I got this thing figured out. It's working beautifully. I'll show you some of the images that I took earlier just to kind of give you an idea where we are. All right, so here's a little nebula that I took a picture of, and this nebula is this is a 1 minute exposure. And typically, if you've been with SkyTour LiveStream for a while, you know that when we actually take a photo, we typically limit it to about 20 seconds to 30 at the most. And that's because the telescope drive is only able to stay on target for about that amount of time. But this telescope here has a higher magnification. So if we did that with this telescope without further assistance, we would be constrained to probably 10 to 15 seconds at the most. Well, as you can see, a 1 minute shot is just beautiful. And the reason is because we finally calibrated this auto guiding system that's built into the telescope, and it's just fantastic. I took other images. This is another one here. This is the Flaming Star Nebula. You can see this nebula that comes down. There's a little blue in here and a little blue around the star. I know you'll take my word for it, but I can see it, and there's more out here. This was a 1 minute exposure. I also took a 5 minute exposure, and it came out perfect. But I'm not going to make anybody wait for 5 minutes just to see an image, because I'll do that when I'm doing my own personal photography. Like I did 10 or 20 of these, and quite a few of this other one called the Northern Trifid Nebula, like the Trifid Nebula that we see in the summer, but this one's the northern one. and I took a lot of that one too at a minute apiece. So I have about 30 shots, so 30 minutes, about 35 overall.
Hey, he made me sit through a bunch of 5-minute exposures last night.
Oh, did.
If I can do it, you all can do it.
No, you sat through 1 minute exposures. I didn't do 5 minutes last night.
Oh no, you were getting up there. You specifically said, "I'm going to do 5-minute exposures."
Yeah, I know. And you said, "Oh, I'm going to go after this one."
Yeah, but then there were a couple more. Yeah. I had to go to bed last night.
You know what? You sleep? Wow.
I tried to. I didn't do that well.
Well, guys, you know what? Daryl deserves his sleep. He deserves his rest. He's working really hard all the time. So,
right.
I'm just trying to help you out there, buddy.
Oh, sure, thanks. I'm retired, people.
Yes, and as I told him earlier, he's retired. I'm just retarded.
Oh, don't say that.
I'm just kidding. So, we are currently in the constellation of Auriga, and I'm going to show you where we are. All we have to do is look for the telescope icon right there and zoom in, and you can see that we are on this location right here. But I want to head on over to Orion as it rises higher in the sky. First, let's check out where it is in the sky relative to us right now. This is a very accurate planetarium, so we'll actually see exactly where it is. Okay, so as we move through the Pleiades and Orion, we can see that Orion, if we look, it's about 40 degrees above the horizon. That's the Orion Nebula. It's about just under 40 degrees above the horizon, so it's not really high up in the sky yet. Okay, there's the horizon. So it's really not that high up yet. So that's why I was focusing over in Auriga tonight. And I think that if you know of anything you'd like to see, let me know. I'll be happy to try and show it to you. I'm being very careful, trying to work this telescope very carefully. I think that there's a lot that I need to, take into account and make sure that we handle it right. And because can
I say something?
Of course you can. You're on here with me, man. It's fine.
Okay, yeah, folks. If you have a clear sky, you can go out and look. Orion is now transiting the meridian. That is, it's passing on the line that goes straight overhead from south to north. It's transiting the meridian about 10 o'clock at night now.
Yep.
And just 1 month ago, it was transiting at midnight.
Yep.
And that's us going around the sun, and that's time flying is what that is.
Yeah, and we would have streamed later tonight, except we have a little issue, and that is that there is a front coming, and we have snow in the forecast for tomorrow. And so I am trying to get a little stream in before we have these clouds showing up.
Sure.
So that's what I'm doing now. All right, so I have to go move the dome, actually, because I want to go check out some of the things over by Orion. And Orion will be gone first when the clouds come in. So why don't we go there first, all right?
Sure.
All right. Okay, first I want to say hello to Carolina Sky. What's going on, man? Good to see you. And of course, Ronald is here, Earth Radio. Ronald, are you thinking about Pine Bush this year? I'm just curious. I'm going to head out to the dome. I'll be right back. And of course, Daryl, you can just regale everybody with your amazing feats of prestidigitation with stars.
I'll try.
I'll be right back.
If you doubtless heard about the Starlink satellite trains or processions by now. There was a great one here last night, and unfortunately it was cold and gray and cloudy and windy, and I didn't get to see it, which I haven't got to see one yet. There have been several happening the last few days, and it's interesting looking at the Starlink sat past predictions in the coming days. They're going to continue, but you can see their position shifting somewhat in the sky night by night. there is one happening right now, in fact, here, but it's much dimmer. They are much dimmer and lower in the west tonight, moving kind of southwest toward the northwest, passing beneath Venus. The previous 2 nights they were passing above Venus, and now they're below Venus, and they're dimmer and less likely to see them. I was really hoping to see that, though. I'm sure they'll be coming around again, though, and I hope to see them next time. I did see a single Starlink sat night before last. It was also predicted. It came up by itself right next to Venus, quite bright. It was about 2.5 magnitude, 2.5 mag. And it was obvious once it popped into view, and it looked really cool. And even neater, I had 2 unexpected satellites happen at about the same time. One was a very bright flare off to the south of the Starlink sat. I suspect that was an iridium flare. Interestingly, it turned very red when it got really bright. And another one, I'm not sure what it was. Saw them both happen while that one Starlink was passing Venus Wednesday night. Welcome back.
And how did you hold on to everybody, Darrow? Would you hold them in rapt attention?
Something like that, sure. Hopefully I didn't bore them to death.
Nah. Okay, we're going to go to Orion right now. I'm actually going to take us over to Betelgeuse. I like looking at Betelgeuse every night because when I can, because I'd like to see if Betelgeuse is exhibiting any brightness changes that we can notice. So
can I make a suggestion there?
Please do.
Show them Aldebaran and Betelgeuse. Aldebaran in Taurus is typically a good, it's like a magnitude or a magnitude and a half dimmer than Betelgeuse is, but presently Betelgeuse is dim so much that Aldebaran is the brighter of the pair.
Yeah. Hey, D. Smith. That's right. Okay, we can do that. But right now, as you can see, there is Betelgeuse right in our view, and I'm going to show you how this telescope performs because I am just nuts. So I'm going to just take Betelgeuse here, and I'm going to center it up for us. And right now, the auto guider is blinking on the back, and that means it's getting ready to lock on. And by now it probably has. And instead of 20 seconds, I'm going to take us all the way to a minute. Right off the bat. Just go for a minute. Alright. Now, I will make sure my settings are a minute. I'm not going to be doing a minute all night long because some don't require it. And certainly Betelgeuse doesn't. I would just like to show 1 minute, 0 seconds. Okay. Alright. So here we go. And we're going to take this a 1 minute shot of Betelgeuse. And the auto guider system, if it can acquire from where it is, I believe it should be okay where it is. Then I will be able to see this beautiful red giant star, red supergiant, with lots and lots of little faint stars all around it. I went to
party on, Garth.
Party on. That's right. And let's see. So Betelgeuse, as you can see, it doesn't. We really can't tell by looking at it here. You have to do what's called a photometric study. And what I did when I was getting my degree in astronomy, I actually did photometry of quite a number of stars. And the photometric results gave us information about the stars. We could have searched for transits and so forth even with that. You know. Oh, I can't believe the dome's in the way. And the tracker couldn't acquire. How could I not have the... how could the dome be... Oh, probably...
Oh my God, Betelgeuse just blew up, Mark.
I know, right? Yeah. Boy, after all that. Yeah, it didn't acquire properly. So let me go out and move it again, all right?
Okay.
All right, I'll be right back.
So, how was everybody's day today? Happy Friday, everyone. I'm retired, so I had it pretty easy today. I had some people here doing yard work yesterday and today. Spent a lot of money, but it looks a lot better now. Slow season for them, but so they offered bargain rate this time of year. Who am I to pass up a bargain? Otherwise, I went out looking a little after sunset tonight. Saw Venus again. It's getting cold and it's very windy here still. But I got to look before the stream started. Sorry, I don't have the gift of gab like Mark does or Bill. Try to do about 3 things at once here. Yeah, what I was saying about Orion a minute ago, it is marching to the west. It has marched to the west 2 hours in the last month, and that's part of the whole 24 hours, in 12 months over the course of a year. Time is marching on, and if you go out before sunrise now, you'll see the stars of summertime coming up in the southeast to the northeast, and Antares, and Mars is in Antares right now. And what we're seeing in the morning sky right now, well, they're going to be up there 12 hours later, the same time in the evening sky, 6 months from now. And it'll be summer. Ta-da.
Not soon enough.
Welcome back. Yeah, I hear you.
I'm doing still a 30-second shot here to see if it acquired right. There was a flange that was preventing the auto guider from actually seeing the skies. That's the problem with the dome. If it was a roll-off roof, none of this would happen. And you can see from some of the pictures I showed earlier, it's really beautiful. So let's see what this one looks like. Yeah, now that's what I was expecting. Check it out. Now you can see you can see a faint halo here, and as Daryl will point out, as he did last time, there's a little ring here. This is actually a video artifact. I'm sorry, a camera artifact. But I'll tell you, it's just really beautiful.
That is. That's a nice picture.
Yeah. Now it's not quite the right color, so what I'm going to do is let me just actually full screen it. Now I'm going to take us into an editing system that will actually help us see this a little better. All right, and want that or this? Yeah, there we go. All right, so now what I'll do is I'll bring it to the more or less the right color. All right, it's called color temperature, and it looks fuzzy, but it's really not. Okay, but this is what the right color is, and it'll sharpen up in a sec. There you go. All right, and then we can change some of the other parameters to darken it up and turn it into this beautiful shot. Okay. Actually, let me back off on that a little.
Mark,
yes, sir.
What would it take to get a meaningful comparison between images of Betelgeuse and Aldebaran right now? Just shoot the same exposure time with the same setup?
Yeah, we can try.
Would that be enough?
I think that's true. I mean, we can try that. I mean, here's Betelgeuse here, but let me take us back to the actual view right from the telescope. This is the thing that we normally see. Okay. Now, if I go to move to Betelgeuse, I'm sorry, to Aldebaran, I hope that I might have to go move the dome again.
Well, no, don't bother them.
Oh, no, but that's a good idea to try this. I think that's a good idea.
Well, no, you have a program in mind, I'm sure. I mean, you've already had to move the dome 2 or 3 times.
That's
just a thought. Maybe we can do it next time.
But what if Betelgeuse is gone next time? then what will happen, huh?
Yeah, then you'll get to say, "See, I told you so, Joe."
No, I wouldn't. Okay.
Sure you would.
So as you can see, when we take now 1 minute shots, I know that it doesn't seem like much, but a 1 minute shot in any telescope that has magnification on it, like this one, these stars would be trails. You shouldn't see them as dots like this unless you have some pretty high-end stuff. And this telescope has some high-end guiding equipment on it. In fact, just the guiding system alone is several $1,000s. But it's needed, especially since this is the telescope going to Arizona. And next month, right after I speak at the Mega UFO Conference in Laughlin, I'm going back with the people who come up from Arizona to work in the desert on the observatory. Hello, Francis Palmer. We're going to be pouring the concrete pad, and installing the bolts for the piers. So that's going to be a really great time, because then once that's poured, we're going to then build the building. And we've decided on the design for the building. It's going to be a 10 by 10 building, but it might end up being longer. I have to figure that out, because the telescope's going to be a roll-off roof. The system's a roll-off roof, so that means that the roof's going to roll off. Well, the telescope has to be below that. It has to be below the roof, and you can't just put like an elevated roof, like a regular typical house roof, because then that will have a peak in the roof, but then where that peak meets the rest of the building, it's a flat which slides over the top of the telescope at the height of the walls. So we have to figure out something, or we will have to just put a flat roof and live with just a little bit less of a view. I'll give you an example. If we go into Stellarium right now, let's just drop ourselves over to our view right now and go into Stellarium. Right now, if we were in Arizona, we would be able to see everything in Orion. But Sirius might be a little below the edge of the building. So we'd have to wait a little longer. We'd have a lot to look at for sure. And we could go anywhere in the sky. All right. We aren't limited by a slot in the dome, okay, which we actually see here. All right. There's the slot in the dome. That's what we're limited by. Okay. This is the main telescope, okay, with its cameras and so forth. Then there's another telescope that's sitting on top of it. Okay. Well, that other telescope takes up real estate on the tube and needs a view. So the width of this dome opening here is it's at the very edge. So the dome has to be exactly where it has to be to be able to see and use the auto guiding system. But if the whole roof was gone, we wouldn't care. And that's what we're aiming for. So, well, that's where we're going. And we're gonna see that it works very well, I'm sure. So, let's try to go to Aldebaran anyway. What do you want to do? That? Want to do that? We should try it.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure the dome's in the way, but we're gonna see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, kind of like we said the last time,
yeah.
I predict roll-off roofs in both Arizona and Connecticut.
Well, you're probably correct, except the SkyTour East isn't going to remain in Connecticut.
Oh.
And we're moving it to a dark sky site, too.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a little cat out of the bag there.
Okay.
Here comes Aldebaran.
My lips are sealed.
Well, everybody watching will have to be. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah. we're actually we've been looking at some sites, and we're gonna go visit some sites. But the observatories will be about as far from each other as they could possibly be in the United States, which is kind of interesting.
Sounds like Maine.
It does sound like part of Maine, doesn't it? Yeah.
Huh.
And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it's okay. You know. Well, there's Aldebaran. Okay, and if you notice, we bring Aldebaran up here. All right. Okay, this looks, to your eye anyway, it looks a little bit almost like what Betelgeuse looked like to you. But Betelgeuse is supposed to be a lot brighter than Aldebaran. And let's try the same thing we did before. Let's try the same exposure. We might have a dome in the way. We may not, but we'll see. I'm not sure that the scope, the guider can acquire, because the dome might be in the way. Hey there, Canada boy. How you doing? Oh, really? I'm on your TV every night? Are you streaming SkyTour LiveStream, or are you talking about like What on Earth or NASA's Unexplained Files or Contact or any of the other series that I've been doing? Okay, let's see what we got. Hey, look at that. All right, well, there's Aldebaran. All right. Now, here's what's interesting. We can compare Aldebaran to Betelgeuse. You ready? Here we go. Aldebaran and Betelgeuse. One thing to notice right away. You see... Oh, let me just get it a single shot here. So there's Aldebaran. I'm sorry, Betelgeuse. And you'll notice that there's a faint red halo around it. You see that? That's an imaging artifact. And let's take a look at the one from Aldebaran. Wow. Now you can see that the one around Aldebaran is very clear. The one that's around Betelgeuse is not as clear. This tells us several things. It tells us that Aldebaran's actually brighter than Betelgeuse right now. I think that's pretty cool. You know, and maybe Betelgeuse is on its way out. You know, I'm glad we got that shot of Aldebaran. Betelgeuse is in a richer star field. You know, I actually like this little location better. But it's really pretty. But oh man, that star is going to be gone. Now the whole thing, you wonder how large Betelgeuse is in the sky. Well, you see the smallest dot of a star here in the view? Okay, Betelgeuse is going to be way smaller than that. But it's so bright that it overexposes the image, and that's why it looks so big here. We can't see stars in their true diameters with our typical telescopes. You need a special telescope called an interferometer. And interferometry is a process by which they can go through and do repeated observations and assemble an image over time. And one of the things they do is they do that with some of the large supergiants like Betelgeuse here, because they can actually see, because of its size, again, it's almost the size of Jupiter's orbit. That's pretty big, you know. That's Daryl, not me, by the way, just so you know. It's so large that when you look at Betelgeuse in the sky, you'll never see it as the disk that it is, but the interferometry can show it. And Betelgeuse is one of the few stars that we actually have seen the disk of. And it's really odd, because when we look at the disk of Betelgeuse, if we zoom in, okay, we don't see anything here. But in real life, Betelgeuse isn't round like this. Okay, it actually has lumps. It's lumpy. It has these large areas that protrude off of it. And it's surrounded by a haze of material that has been ejected by the star over time. Well, the lumpy Betelgeuse is because of the fact that it's doing something called convection. The outer atmosphere of Betelgeuse is boiling like a pot of water. And it has these cells that come up to the surface, and they're massive. And they push off the star. Massive amounts of material. The star is so big that there's nothing holding this material back. When it gets near the edge of the star, it can also be liberated completely from the star and not be subject to the gravity. It just depends on how much velocity it has as it's reaching the surface of the star. So Betelgeuse then is throwing away a lot of its mass. And supergiants like this will do this. And this is the process is known as, you guessed it, mass loss. Not mass effect. That's a really great game, but this is mass loss we're talking about. And so I think that it's kind of it's kind of interesting to consider that Betelgeuse might be on its last, you know. So that said, we will head back over to the Orion location and just kind of hang out there for a little while tonight. I do see clouds arriving. They're not here yet. We have time. I was trying to get a stream in before they came, and I got lucky, and we did. So let's go check out a few things. You know what's kind of cool? I'm going to do this now while we can. We're going to check out this cluster. It's called Mesher 35. It's also known as the shoe buckle cluster because if you look at the mythological characters of Castor and Pollux, you'll see that it's the shoe, okay, of Castor. So that's kind of interesting. But we're actually trying to find our way over there. We're gonna get there now. We should be there. So the telescope is now moving to its final location. We're using a high precision pointing methodology tonight, and we're probably going to use it from now on because the telescope is becoming more and more intellectually captivating to me because it's actually doing things that I didn't think a telescope could do. And I'm really pleased with how this is performing. Daryl's heard it all before, you know, I keep saying it. It's like, wow, you know, ooh. So we're just going to do a short little exposure here. This is going to be, and we'll do it at 32,000 ISO, as you can see over here on the right side. We'll do it at just 16,000 for 20 seconds. And we're going to...
Hey, I heard that.
What?
What you just said.
No, that we'll do it only for, 16,000 for 20 seconds?
Oh, no, before that, when you said I heard it all before.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let's do this. I want to be able to show that other little cluster. I think I'm going the right way. All right, so I'm going to hold up there. We wait about 15 seconds for the telescope to acquire.
Mark D. Smith has a question.
Yeah, I just read it. Yeah, that ring that you saw is an artifact of a bright light in the end of the telescope. And when I center it up, it looks like a donut because the telescope's optics will look like a donut if you go out of focus. And so that's a secondary reflection that will do that. But the ring itself is not anything other than an artifact. It unfortunately isn't like the mass loss around Betelgeuse. I wish it was. But trust me, when it goes supernova, if we're around, oh man, we're going to see it. Timothy Fukuyama, how are you? And Monkey, good to see you guys. Thanks for coming out. This is the new telescope we're using, and we're going to be moving it to Arizona after it gets the shakedown cruise. Wow, look at that. Here you can see Mesher 35, and then there's a faint cluster right down here. You'll notice it has a lot of really interesting redder stars in it. This is a cluster that it's a young cluster, but why would it have red stars? Red stars are typically signaling the end of stars' lives. Well, this is something called extinction. The cluster here is farther by far than Mesher 35 over here. And so when we look at this cluster, we're seeing it very far away through dust and other material in the interstellar medium between us and that cluster. And it does to the light from those stars what our atmosphere does to the sun's light on the horizon. It reddens it. And so you see, the red wavelengths get through and the cluster looks redder. You know? This telescope is an F8 Carolina Sky. Hey, Putta is here. How you doing, man? Yeah, so this is actually a really interesting set of optics because it's higher magnification. The other telescope was f6.3. That means it was more rich field. This is not. This is more zoomed in. Yet we can still get the things right in the middle, even though we're looking at a much smaller area in the sky. The reason is because, of course, we're using this high precision system. I'm going to just pull us out of here now and make use of the fact that I want to see something that you guys might want to see too. I just want to take us up there while we could go. I'm going to take us now, we're going to dig into the heart of Orion, and we're going to look at, let's see, we're going to look at, okay, you know what, we'll just do it. You know, the other night you guys were here and I didn't show you Orion's Nebula, even though the Orion Nebula is like the kind of one of the things you go to in Orion, right? Well, I didn't show you, and I apologize for that, so now I'm going to show you.
Well, that was all my fault, because I said, hey, Mark, why don't you look at the Crab Nebula first?
and you're happy I did.
You were so enamored of the Crab Nebula that you never made it to M42.
No, and you were too, I think. And hopefully you guys got a chance to go to SkyTour LiveStream on Facebook and look at the Crab Nebula photo we took. That you can see filamentary structure in there that's just unbelievable. Okay, this telescope is centering up a known star, and you're going to see it center it up, and then boom, it's going to disappear, and you're going to say, hey, what happened? Well, that's the telescope that is actually centering up this star so it knows exactly where it is in the sky, and then it's going to move a prescribed distance that it knows and that it calculates, and it will have the Orion Nebula in our view when we get there. And there it goes. Where's the Orion Nebula? And there it is. Hey, hello, Orion. There's the Orion Nebula. Yeah. So that's not bad.
Mark, I'm sorry. May I answer a question Carolina asked?
Yeah, go ahead.
Carolina, you asked about the focal length of the telescope. If you think about this a little bit, it's a 10-inch aperture, and it's an f8 telescope. So it has an 80-inch focal length, which is 2,032 millimeters. Interestingly, it's the same focal length as the 8-inch f10 classic Schmidt-Cassegrain, but instead of a 10-inch f8, it's instead of an 8-inch f10, it's a 10-inch f8. So both are 2,000 millimeters, but one has 2 inches greater aperture, so it's going to have more light gathering and a little finer resolution.
That's right. I'm going to just look at our focus here, so I'm going to bring us down. This is the heart of the Orion Nebula too, and you can see the sky is dancing a little bit. The telescope won't, though, not anymore. But you can count 1, 2, 3, 4 stars. These are the stars of what's called the trapezium, given that name because of their apparent geometric shape, and they seem to describe a trapezium in the nebula. But they are young hot stars that are in part are powering this nebula, and they give off lots of ultraviolet light. So the nebula, which is more than just this area here, is going to be caused to glow by these massive hot young stars. Well, let's go take a look. We've seen it before, but it's really fun to look at it in the with this telescope, because I can take an exposure of any length now and pretty much get a beautiful result. And I wrote a telescope control program. I told Daryl, and this telescope control program is going to run the observatory out in Arizona. It's going to do things like open the telescope cover, roll off the roof, turn on the pier, turn on the camera, make sure the camera's up and running, and go through a bunch of logic to make sure that everything is ready for viewing. So I'll be able to just click one button basically electronically here from Connecticut for a period of time, and then go off and go imaging within about 2 or 3 minutes tops. It's really nice. Okay, here we go. We're going to do not 20 seconds. Actually, we're going to do something else. I'm going to drop this sensitivity down, way down. I'm going to go down to like 2,000. But I'm going to go up to 1 minute exposure. That's what I have set for the bulb. Okay. So it should have acquired by now. So let's do a 1 minute shot of this and see what we get. And for SkyTour LiveStream, 1 minute is about the most we're ever going to do. We're not going to do 5 minute shots. We're not going to do 20 minute shots. Certainly, we can do that. And certainly, we will. But not when you're watching. Hello, Lauren Newbert.
Just don't make him angry or he may do it.
Oh, you didn't make me angry yesterday. I did a 5 minute shot because I wanted to see it, and so did you.
Yeah, I know. It was proving out the system. It was
Yeah, right.
The whole reason why we were there.
Yeah, that's right. Daryl, just so you know, Daryl was with me yesterday in the virtual ether here, and was hanging out while I did troubleshooting of the new scope here. But once this one is proved itself, which it so far already has, we're gonna move it to Arizona, and like I said, next month we pour the concrete pad for the observatory building, and then we go to town. Wow, we got a little bit of movement there, and I'm wondering if it's just a lark. I know that it does that from time to time, but look at the colors. Jeez, it's beautiful. I'm gonna take one more. That's a stunning nebula. Yeah, and I'm also going to bring it down just a little bit. That's good. Okay, and then we'll let it reacquire, because we're doing this at 2000 ISO, and I'll go a little higher. I'll just go to 3200. So pulling a little extra detail around the outside. Yep. So I get so excited. I have my sweatshirt and I have a coat on over that. It's like I just left it all on. Hey, Dan Delaire, how you doing? Thanks for coming. I know that he and I were talking earlier today in Messenger. We're talking about possibly doing a stream. Okay. We should be acquired now, so now I'll take this picture. Hey Dunster, how you doing? And yeah, actually, before the stream started, I actually looked at Uranus. It's really pretty, turquoisey, cyan kind of a color, and we can certainly see it. And we can see Neptune too, and we can see Pluto as well. But Uranus now, I'll show you where it is if I recall. Uranus is not here. Uranus is, I think, close to setting now, if it hasn't. There it is. Yeah, see, it's down here. All right, in Cetus, isn't it?
I think you're right, yes.
No, I think I'm wrong.
Oh.
Yeah.
What am I thinking of then?
Well, it's all right. I'm wrong. It's in Aries, right? That's Aries. Yeah, there's Uranus right there.
Aries looks like a zebra.
I know. It's kind of freaky.
Aries the ram, of course.
Yeah. All right, we got our picture. Let's go see whether it came out, how it looks. All right. I don't like that. I don't know why that's doing that. I had beautiful shots earlier. I'm thinking that it could be that the telescope, the guide scope, is being obstructed by part of the observatory, and we wouldn't know. We would just see in the bad results. Yeah, so I think that's what's going on. The flange for that has gotten in the way. But it's beautiful, but it's just not perfect. Let's see here. Yeah, so See, the shot of Betelgeuse came out fine because that was up higher. Let's go to the Casper the Friendly Ghost Nebula, which is going to be Northmore. And let's see if you'll see the Orion Nebula. This is the planetarium view. This is the live view. So when I tell the telescope to go here, you will see it go away over here. So here we go. And boom, there it goes. So now the telescope is in high precision mode. It's going to go to a bright star near this location. And from there, it's going to find its way to that location. And this star is Bellatrix, the upper right-hand star in Orion. And there is Bellatrix right here in the live view. And it's going to center up Bellatrix, and then it's going to head on over from here. Okay, it'll center it up right there. That's that telltale swing it makes just before it goes that way, and then it's centered, and now it's just figuring out, come on, don't disappoint, and ready, go. There it goes. Okay, and so now it's bringing the nebula in for us as well. So yes, sirree. You know, as a kid, I never knew that this nebula was here in Orion. And if you notice, well, you can see why. There's like nothing to see. You know? There's just nothing to see, it seems. You know, I don't see a single star. Is it because I'm having a dome blocking me? I don't think so. But see that flange right there? That's the thing that's blocking the guide scope. So, I don't think that we might have a problem. I'm not sure. We'll see. Let us just take a 15-second quick exposure at, we'll go up to, let's go 32,000 for now. Just see what we got. All right. So now we will go do this. All right, just 15 seconds. And then we will see if we're in the right spot or if we're being blocked. Yeah, here's the nebula right there. And so we're not being blocked. So not the main telescope's not being blocked. But we might be getting blocked from the guide scope. Like I said, gotta have that absolutely wonderful roll-off roof. All right, so
Rough.
Yeah.
When my neighbor built his roll-off roof observatory, it looked like a giant doghouse. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
That's okay. At least he had a woof over his head.
He did, yeah. He just soldered up, did it. It worked great.
Yeah. Hey there, Neutrino. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. There it is. Okay, so now let's actually increase our exposure time here. Let's go up to let's try 30 seconds at 32,000 and see what we get. 30 seconds with the old system was the maximum. But before we streamed tonight, I actually took a picture of several shots that were 5 minutes long each with absolutely no problems. I was just amazed at how it performs. The way it works is there's a guide scope on the side of the main tube, and then the guide scope has a small telescope attached to it. See, here's a typical 30-second shot now. See, stars are absolute perfect dots. And I've talked about this before. When you look at this, and I'm going to get you isolated so you can see just that. This is the Casper the Friendly Ghost Nebula. if you look, you notice it's some kind of logical haze over here that seems to divide it from a starrier location here. This is all nebula in here, and it's obscuring the stars behind it. Only the brightest show through, see? But here you can see the stars, at least a little bit. But then you see no stars here. But they're there. They're just behind this nebular haze. So that's what's going on here. And with this, you can actually see it a little better. Really cool. Hello, Carl. So I think that we're talking, a beautiful setup here. And as you can see, I was right about the Orion Nebula having an issue with the guide scope. Because when we were guiding on the Orion, you'll notice we saw that the stars were a little elongated. That's because it couldn't guide because it couldn't see the sky fully. Here, when I moved up, it could do that. And that's the guide scope was clear again. And then now, of course, you get a perfect shot in 30 seconds. Wow. So this is really cool. So I think that's pretty cool. I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm not going to take any more shots at that, I don't think. I think that we have enough of those. I took a bunch earlier is what I'm getting at. But I think some of you would like to see the horse head, no? Hopefully we can do that. We can guide on the horse head. I'll have to move the dome otherwise, and I'm okay with that. So, here we go. And the telescope is moving, and it's probably moving to one of Orion's stars. Yes, Saiph. It tends to go to Saiph and then jump off to places in Orion from Saiph and or Bellatrix. Yeah. It tends to put things in the bottom tonight, but as long as they don't end up out of the shot, I'm okay with it. But I could change it. I could, make the telescope center up better right in the middle, but I don't mind. I don't mind if you don't mind. All right. Well, there are those 3 stars that we... Oops, sorry. There are those 3 stars we recognize. At least I do. And to the right over here is going to be Sigma Orionis out here. Literally out here. And we'll have to let it acquire. But we have to... We've got to just move it up a little bit. And if I move it over, you'll see Sigma Orionis come in. You'll see it. Ready? Here it comes. Look at that. Daryl's favorite star.
One of them.
Yeah. Hey, James. James Dugan from Down Under.
Mark Francis has asked if you might look at Andromeda Galaxy.
Oh, I'd love to, but it's actually it's behind my house right now. It's on the other side. Yeah.
That's what I was afraid of.
Yeah. Hey, Headband. Yeah, that's a great idea, Francis. And you know what? We could take such long exposures now that I would not miss it for the world. But now I have to either get out really, really early, or I have to wait a whole season. I don't want to wait, but I guess I might have to. All right, let's do this. We're going to hold up right there, and we're going to try a quick 30-second shot of this area. This is going to be the Horsehead Nebula. The Horsehead will be right around here. All right, and we should be locked on now, so let's go do it. This will be just a 30-second shot. One of my favorite pieces of music right here.
Blue Danube Waltz.
Yes. Of course, I only see it colored with 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Uh-huh.
Yep. That's it. Ah, look at that. Look at that. This image actually right here kind of shows a little bit of processing in it. You can actually see the little area underneath the snout of the horse. This is the horse head. It's on its side. We have an errant glow here from a bright star nearby. You can see some of it over here. And I think that's one of those, I won't call them a crepuscular ray there, Daryl, but it's actually a ray, I think, from Sigma.
Could be. I know we discussed that last night.
We did, and it didn't look like it lined up, but then I saw how the arcs on the stars were not quite lined up either. Ah, yes, look at that. There's the Horsehead Nebula. This is a dark nebula that's being silhouetted by this red glowing gas behind it. It's actually famously faint, but it's being caused to glow by Sigma Orionis, the star responsible for this blue fringing over here, and probably this glow here. It's just out of view. Francis, Pillars of Creation, that's the M16, the Eagle Nebula. That's a summertime constellation, and you can bet your butt I am so anxious to image that. Oh yes, I'm looking forward to seeing detail in that. That's unprecedented. But by that time, this telescope will be imaging that from Arizona, because that's where it's going to be doing all that work from. Yeah, the red gas is nice, neutrino. Let me do another. Actually, I did a number of these shots earlier. This is the JPEG we just saw. This one, you'll notice it looks like it's less colorful a little bit compared to this one here. This one looks like it's a little more colorful than this one here that I'm moving to now. It just changed. And then that's because this one is called a RAW file. This is the RAW file. The other one is just a JPEG. And I only shoot in RAW. And I have a JPEG come in too, but I don't use that. I throw it away. The JPEG is just too compressed. The data's too, ruined. And it's not really good. I know, Francis, you're picking the wrong ones to view at the moment, but that's okay. Keep trying. You're going to hit some. Oh, yes, this is beautiful. You know what we're going to do? Oh, yes. Yes, we are. We did 30 seconds. We're going to do a minute. And we're going to do it at 40,000 ISO. So we're going up several stops here. So here we go. Photographic stops. And we're doing it. It's like I gotta dance with this one. Hello, Katie Q. I know the whole Blue Danube, every single movement. Why? As a kid, I studied 2001: A Space Odyssey, and everything about that music I can put a motion to on the screen. And I know every little detail. It's amazing, I guess that's what, you do when you really like stuff like that. Okay, so we're doing a 1 minute exposure right now of the Horsehead Nebula. And it's still going here, as you can see. And you'll notice it'll stop right there. And when we come in, and what's it look like? Wow. It's more detailed. We have a little bit of motion there that I'm not fond of. So I'll have to figure out why it's doing that. But it's actually a very bright region of the sky, both for some light pollution and other stars. But it's actually quite... it's not that bad. If I took another shot, it'd probably be perfect, but I'm not going to make you sit through another minute. But it's really pretty. And you can see some extra detail now in the Horsehead Nebula. It's really kind of interesting. You can see some wispy nature there, can't you? I'm pretty amazed. That's pretty nice. Wow. So any objects that you'd like to see, Daryl? You're probably on mute.
Yeah, I was typing a reply.
Okay.
Anything I'd like to see? Oh, golly. Trying Try the, well, are you already pointed? Well, you're close to the flame. Try the flame.
All right. Let's do that. And I actually don't have to do anything but go up. Here we go. And then Alnatok comes into view. Right there. And the flame is right here. There, I'm glad I could show it to you. Next. No, just kidding. Alright, so the flame is going to be right about here. So let's check that out. Let's do a 30-second shot at 40,000. The Flame Nebula is a diffuse nebula of hydrogen gas that's made to glow. It might be Alnatok making it glow. Daryl seems to remember that. That's the one gap I don't have the answer to. I don't remember. I think it might be Alnatok making it glow. This is on Alnatok. It's an O star. It's one of the hottest stars on the Earth. In the universe, in this whole universe. So, yeah, look at that.
I think Alnatok is what's lighting up the flame.
Okay.
I read yesterday, I think it said Alnatok is the brightest O star in the sky we can see.
Well, that would stand to reason, actually, but yeah, because it is relatively close. If we look at Alnatok's details, okay, and zoom in on Alnatok here and select it, you can see its distance is only 817 light years for Alnatok, and that's actually pretty close for a star like this. It's an O9.5, so it's actually almost a B. And Betelgeuse, by the way, here's a little trivia for you. Betelgeuse, the red supergiant up here, that used to be an O star. It was an O9.5 as well, based on the spectroscopic analysis of the light from Betelgeuse. And when it got off the main sequence, that is to say when it stopped fusing hydrogen into helium, then its stellar type changed because of its temperature and its size. And when the star leaves the main sequence and it stops fusing hydrogen into helium, obviously it doesn't just go away. Something else happens. What happens is when the star is pushing out all this energy, okay, like Alnatok here, pushing out all this energy, this radiation, well, the star is trying to collapse under its own gravity. And that radiation pressure from the core of this star, at many tens of millions of degrees, is actually holding up the star and fighting against the gravitational contraction. So that gravitational contraction is balanced by the radiation pressure outward. And that's something called hydrostatic equilibrium. And that's what happens with stars. That's what they do. That's why they are the same size that they are. But when they start to run out of hydrogen in their core, then the radiation output begins to slow down. And when it slows down, then gravity begins to win out and the star begins to contract a little. And as it does that, the star is made of mostly hydrogen. Some of that hydrogen is brought closer to the core where the hydrogen fusion temperatures can be reached. And as more hydrogen gets near the core, then hydrogen begins burning around the core in a shell called a hydrogen shell. And that hydrogen shell then is a renewed source of energy for the star. But it's a massive shell compared to the core. And so the star bloats up in size. And that's when it becomes a giant, a red supergiant. Why red? Well, because as the star expands, the outer layers get further and further from the core and they get cooler. And we know that the hottest temperatures are blue in the universe and the coolest are the reds. And so when we see a red supergiant, well, we know that it's massive because of the fact that these outer layers are very, very far from that core, which is still undergoing fusion in shells around that core. Now what happens is when that hydrogen shell begins to run out of source material, then that shell starts to wane and the star begins to collapse again. And as it does so, the core is getting hotter and hotter each time it does this collapse. Then something crazy happens. The hydrogen was fused into helium in the core. And this is a helium, we call it helium ash, but it's not really ash. It's basically helium atoms that are in the core, but they're inert. They're not doing anything at that point. However, when the temperature reaches over 100 million Kelvin, well, then something happens called the helium flash, and the core begins to fuse helium into things like carbon and neon and some oxygen. And when that happens, the star bloats up again. And it's another element of stellar evolution. And our star can shrink and grow numerous times throughout its life because these processes happen. So in the case of a star like Betelgeuse, it's already kind of in its terminal phase. It's already created as many elements as it's going to, and it's actually doing it's actually getting on to the point where it's reaching the end of its fuel reserves of all kinds, and so it's going to end up going off in a massive supernova at some point. And that's going to be a type 2 supernova. That's what we call it. It's a core collapse supernova, actually. And so when it finally runs out of its last fuel, nothing can stop the collapse. Now imagine this. A star that has an extent that goes out to about the orbit of Jupiter has a core in it that's doing this fusion. And that core is really amazingly hot, but it's also large. It's way bigger than the Earth, and it might be approaching the size of just under the size of the Sun. Now, that's around 860 million miles across. Okay, I'm sorry, 860,000 miles across. So if you end up having a last fusion fuel is running out, and the star goes to collapse, believe it or not, that entire core will collapse in about a quarter of a second. That is a massive collapse. Now, all of that mass rushing down toward the core is going to then have no place to go. When it gets to the core and everything coming from all sides strikes, well, at that point, more elements are made because the temperatures are unbelievably stupendous. But then it rebounds, it comes back out. Meanwhile, the rest of the star has been collapsing. And now it's encountering the outflow from this rebounding core, and it literally causes the star to obliterate itself. And that is a supernova. That's what happens when stars die, big stars die. And I knew what Headband Harvest said it best. I probably should have just said, and the star goes boom. I should have just said that, huh?
Well, you could have made a rap song out of the helium ash turning into the helium flash, maybe.
That's true. I could have. I didn't think of that, actually. My fault. My bad. So, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, we're going to take another photograph here of this flame nebula. I'm checking the guiding thing. I'm wondering why it's doing that. I'm letting the sky move a little bit to see if it's going to get worse or better. And it could be related to how the telescope is positioned. Yeah, see, now you'll notice there's sort of like a little reddish haze there. This is actually, if I look at the telescope here, we might actually be we might be hitting the edge of the dome there with not hitting, but we might have some edge of the dome, and so the guiding might not be getting a full view of the sky. Because the guide telescope, from this point of view, is on the far side of the tube. So if we go look at this, okay. Yeah, this is the focusing system. This is the main telescope. On the other side, this is where the other telescope is, and it's actually out there swinging into this shutter out here. So I don't think it's actually very helpful. And I know that I'm not really showing it to you in the best possible way here, but this is really how you're supposed to see it right here. So, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I mean, like I said, I might convert this to a roll-off roof before I move it out of the state. Make it a kit, a roll-off kit. You know.
I've always wondered. Am I muted? I've always wondered if a guy couldn't take some of those prefab sheds, like you buy at the home improvement store, Home Depot or Lowe's and stuff, and do some modifications and crank out some observatories with them.
Yeah, actually,
roll off roof.
That's exactly what I was thinking to do, and I actually have one of those in the yard here that I was going to consider doing that too. It was going to be like 12 by 19 in size, because that's the size of my alternate shed out here. And I was going to make the last half of it the observatory and make that other half roll off. But I thought better of it, because I knew that SkyTour East was going to be moving. And, I don't think that's something that is a real big selling point. A shed that has a roof that kind of slides off. I mean, it's like weird, right? To anyone but an astronomer.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello there, Marianne. Rob is here. Everybody be in your best behavior. The cops are here. Yeah, the coppers are here. Yeah. I'm going to, dear, I'm going to go out and move the dome, okay?
Super.
All right, I'll be right back. Hold it all together.
I'll try. Yeah, what Mark was saying, my neighbor, he had a 10-inch Meade telescope, and he built a roll-off roof observatory. It's one of those things like getting a one-car versus a two-car garage. He made the thing a little on the small side to be able to fit two people inside with the telescope at the same time, but it worked great. And he eventually moved away, and guess what? That, as Mark said, that that observatory isn't there anymore. It's kind of sad to see it go. Thank you, Carol. As Malcolm Reynolds said in Firefly, I aim to misbehave. I dragged out my red 8-inch telescope last week. First time in quite a while. Hi, Nancy. I got a really nice look at Orion Nebula, and it looked green in the eyepiece, and looked at Sirius, and I looked at the moon, which was a mistake. The moon was close to full still, and it like to blinded me when I looked at it. When you look at the moon in a telescope, it's like staring into a car headlight from about a foot away unless you have filtration on it. So I blew my night vision. Yeah, Marianne, I bet you're going to become pretty good at working on telescopes. I joked the other night. It's one of them things, that's what I was saying about, telescope technician at your service. I bet somebody could make decent. There are star villages down there. There are some in Florida, southern Florida, places like that. And if people are operating remotely, well, sometimes they're going to need somebody to go out and tweak their scopes for them. Charge them $100 an hour. That's what makes the world go round. Oh, look, there's a Yeti in Mark's dome. No wonder he's having trouble. I've never had an observatory. I've always wanted one. I just set my telescope up outside. It's getting to be a pain here nowadays, what with the neighbors all putting up these really obnoxious exterior lights. That and my dark sky's gone away. I used to be able to see the Milky Way from my yard, and I can't anymore because the city's grown up around me and light pollution's washing the sky out. A dome would be nice, though. I thought about buying some property out on the plains east of here, like about halfway to Kansas, and putting up a dome. Some of the yahoos out there would probably use it for target practice, though. Well, I should be nice.
Well, yeah, you might have a nicer gun than they do. Look, I moved the dome, see? And now the guider has full acquisition, and look.
Oh.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. So, see clearly. But we're getting these weird flares. So I'm going to have to figure out what to do with those. I have to figure that out. That's something to worry about later. However, like I said, I am really feeling like this is working very well. Now I'm going to try the Orion Nebula again. We do have clouds coming, and I don't want to miss the Running Man or the Orion Nebula. So again, we're probably going to go to, is it Saif or is it Bellatrix? It's Saif. It's going to Saif as a place. That's right, Carl. Full acquisition. Yes. Remember 2001? Hal, as a kid, when he said full thrust, and then the Discovery shoots off. I mean, that was such a brilliant piece of writing for that. When Kubrick said he had them say full thrust. In the moment of silence, there's a tiny little window of silence after he says that, before the Discovery reacts. That was absolutely incredible. That was amazing. I really liked that.
I saw a good article yesterday. I should have sent you. It's about retrospective on 2001: A Space Odyssey and Stanley Kubrick, and his daughter. She talks in the article, and she helped set up this retrospective, I guess.
Okay.
And it's at one of the big museums in New York. It was over in Germany, and now this exhibit's in New York, and they got models. They have a big model of the Pan Am Clipper from the Blue Danube, and all sorts of stuff. It was a really good article, and they mentioned Mr. Trumbull also, of course.
Oh, okay.
If I can find that, I'll send it to you.
I was talking to Doug today, actually. He he wants to know. There's a travel channel that's trying to do something for UFO show, and they wanted to know if we wanted to do something about our UFO detection system. We might, but we don't have one to show yet. And actually, what everybody's benefiting from is research for our UFOTOG system, that is the aerial anomaly detection system, because what we're showing here, this camera view that we're using is actually a camera that has a chip in it that I want to use for our system. So that's what I've been doing, is I've been showing people how this thing works. I think it's really an exceptional chip. It's called the Exmor chip. I first went up to Doug's. It's funny. I first went up to his house. He has a house, and he has several buildings up near his house, and then he has another group of buildings, which are the studio. And you got to get in a golf cart and ride through donkey pastures on his property to get to the studio. And when I first went there the first time, I was always curious whether he had any models from 2001: A Space Odyssey kicking around that I might be able to just touch, And I was really disappointed to hear him say, "Oh no, Kubrick didn't want anything to do with that. He had them all destroyed."
Oh my God!
He ordered them destroyed because he didn't want any of these people hunting these things down. And he goes, and none of us cared. We didn't care, because to us it was just models. We didn't care. They didn't know, right? Just like that kind of world wasn't, it wasn't enforced where people would just think about collecting models and stuff and miniatures from movies. Isn't that crazy?
It is, but good grief. I mean, think what the original Pan Am Clipper would go for now. They mentioned the image of the one in this article I talked about, that it was a recreation.
Yeah.
I was not aware that he had all the original models destroyed. God, those things would be worth tons of money nowadays.
Yeah, you know what? The space station, they actually found the dumping location where he had it dumped and scrapped. And there's pictures of it rotting in a field over in England.
Wow.
And it's in pieces, just little pieces of it. You know?
I mean, they have stuff like that on Pawn Stars now on the History Channel. You know?
Right. That's right.
Flash Gordon's ray gun and all
That's
sorts
right.
of stuff like that.
That's
People
right.
pay through the nose for that
Yes,
stuff.
they do. Yes, they do. I'm taking a photo at 4,000 ISO for 30 seconds on the Orion Nebula. I want to see if I can get a shot where we can see the trapezium, but still see a lot of the nebulosity. This inner part here, if you notice, it's got some really pretty modeling in here, you know, and you can't see it yet because I can't move the scope right now. But it's really got some pretty mottled colors in there. So I'd like to see it. We'll see. Yeah, there we go. Just not quite. Almost there. Take a look at these stars. You got these little tiny stars right here. 1, 2, 3. See those 3 stars right there? Those are absolutely incredible little tiny stars. And I said little tiny. They're not tiny at all. But this is at 4,000 ISO, and it's actually, you can see how the sky looks still pretty dark and all. But we still see plenty of detail. We got this little dark nebula over here, which is kind of cool. And if I drop it back just a little bit, just a little bit, then we'll be able to actually see the trapezium. So I'm gonna drop down 2 stops, 2,500 for 30 seconds, and you'll see it now. Okay. So I mean, we're looking at this absolutely just gorgeous nebula. About 1,600 light years away, roughly. And you know, you can see a bunch of really tiny stars in here. That's one thing this telescope is good at, is showing us these tiny stars. And I really like seeing these little tiny stars. Look at those. 1, 2, 3. And now this is the overlay of the next one. And there you can see the trapezium right there. And you can actually see this knotty collection of gas in the middle. And you'll see the color too. If you notice the color kind of appears sort of green, doesn't it? Well, that's the glow of ionized oxygen, okay, oxygen 3, which is doubly ionized, meaning that 2 electrons have bounced off the atom. And then when they recombine, they give off a characteristic light that happens to be in this greenish blue zone. All right? And that's just beautiful. Now, these nebula here, these are not, there's certain kinds of nebula. This is an emission nebula. You know, the hydrogen gas is made to glow by the hot stars. And then this is the oxygen-based nebula. This is the O3 nebula. You see the color we said about it? It's sort of a greenish blue. It's more greenish than blue, right? Well, now let's go back to the Orion Nebula and just head up north a little bit, okay? As we go up north, then we'll see something else. I do this quick with the clouds. As we go up north of the Orion Nebula, we come to this next location, right here, okay? And this is another location where these are also hot stars, but they're actually not causing the gas to glow. They're doing something else. In fact, what we're going to be seeing is a combination of gas and dust. All right, and to do that, we're going to crank up this ISO. We're going to bring it up a little bit higher. Maybe they go to not 12.8, one more above 12.8. Okay, we're going to go to 16,000. And we'll go 30 seconds, okay? So hopefully we've acquired by now. And now we'll do the comparison once we go. So now this photo's underway. So again, back here, this is a green O3, oxygen 3, doubly ionized oxygen glow. All right, and now we're going to see a distinctly different color. All right, and that different color is going to be from another process that's beside this ionization process here, where the electrons jump off the atom and recombine with the atom, and as they do, they give off light. So that's what causes the red, that's what causes this greenish blue, but it's not what causes this blue that we're seeing here. This is the Running Man Nebula just north of the Orion Nebula.
It's the Schwarzenegger Nebula.
That's right. This is the
See how big he
Schwarzenegger.
is in the chest and the arms? That's
Yeah,
Arnold right there.
that's huge. I'm a huge guy. What do you know? I tell you, I'm a big guy. So you can see the Running Man Nebula has this this different color. It's more of a really clear blue, isn't it? Very blue. Okay, again, compared to this, right? When we look here, this is not really a blue. It's sort of a greenish blue, right? It's a different color altogether. This color in the Running Man here is due to another thing. This is something, the nebula we see here is something called a reflection nebula. Hot blue stars. And many people just say, oh, well, the light's reflecting off of them. Actually, that's not what's happening. What's happening is they are very efficient at scattering the high frequencies. The dust, I'm saying. The dust is very efficient at scattering the high frequency light from these stars. And high frequencies are blue. Okay? So it's scattering that's causing this blue color we see here. Okay?
Same reason Earth's sky is blue.
That's exactly what it is. It's Rayleigh scattering in our atmosphere. And then why aren't clouds blue? Well, clouds aren't blue because they do a different type of scattering. The water molecules actually do what's called Compton scattering. Compton scattering reflects all the wavelengths equally, but the atoms of the atmosphere, the nitrogen and the oxygen, they're very efficient at scattering only the blue component of the sun's spectrum, not all of the light. Otherwise, the sky would be white, and be really just a weird looking sky. So I think that's pretty cool. So let's just take a little bit longer exposure here, because I want to show you something else that is on a follow-on to what we're looking at here. If we go back to our view here, and let's take us up to 25,600 ISO. And let's go for a minute and see if we can handle that. Okay. All right. Why? Because I want to show you a deeper view of the nebula, because there's something else going on in here that comes out with the higher ISOs and time exposures. Right now we just see the blue. Okay. And by the way, while we're waiting for that, Daryl, do you know how the man's supposed to be running?
I see him running left with his arms extended, one in front and one behind. I assume it's his right arm extending to the left.
Okay, is this a leg?
His left arm extending to our right, and that's his legs down there. That's the way I always saw it.
Okay, so that's a leg this way, that's a leg that way, and he's running like that, almost like he has webbed arms or wings, and he's about to run off a cliff with these wings and enter into history as another failed attempt at human-powered flight.
That could be. I mean, it looks like, I was about to say it reminded me of an Indian dance, when they have feathers hanging off their arms.
Absolutely.
Like a eagle dance or something.
Yep. Okay, so now we did this in 1 minute, and now you can see something markedly different here. Okay, we look at this Running Man Nebula, and before we just did a 30-second exposure, we saw the blue, okay? But when we do a 1 minute exposure, we see the blue, but we also see an additional color in here, don't we? There's a color in here that's sort of hard to miss. It's more of a kind of a reddish color. What that is that is hydrogen gas mixed with the dust in here. This is actually a dark nebula, dark dust in here as well, but there's hydrogen gas in here in addition. So we're getting emission of hydrogen being excited by these hot blue stars, but we're also getting scattering of the light. And that brings these rich several colors to our eye, these beautiful reddish purpley hues and the blues. It's just really pretty. And you can actually see, if we zoom in a little bit, you can actually see at the edge of this cloud here, you can actually see kind of a glow over the top of it. Because there's actually, it's a dark nebula, it's dark particles that are being illuminated from the other side as well. Not enough to scatter the light because of its density. All right, but you can actually see that there's a little ridge. Let me see if I can find that ridge more directly here. And you can kind of see it here, see? There's a ridge over the top. That's actually a little reflection ridge over the top. And that is actually actual reflection off of dust particles. That's pretty cool. So that's there you go. That's a Running Man and Orion Nebula rundown. Running Man rundown, right? But I like that. That's pretty neat. I never saw the Running Man running left, actually, but now that you mention it, that's all I can see. Now we can also...
Really? You didn't see that before?
Not like that. I mean, we could flip him on the right, and does he...
Maybe I'm seeing it wrong.
No, I don't know. Well, we can flip it either way. It doesn't seem to matter. So what do people in Australia see? I mean, we gotta do this. We gotta flip it upside down, because James Dugan sees it upside down. This is what his Running Man looks like.
James Dugan sees it right side up. We see it upside down.
Oh, really?
Well, I bet James would say that.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Well, pareidolia, Francis, is a human quality. Probably a holdover from when we were in a crib and we imprinted on our mothers and fathers. We would try to find patterns that we could make sense of. We could make sense of our mother's face. Oh, okay, great. I know my mom by looking at her. I know my father by looking at him. But it's also served us well in trying to look for predators. When we were in a cave, what is that thing in the distance? Is that a bear coming after us? Or is that just, what is that? Just a shadow? We would never say things like that in general, but that's exactly where it's a possibility as to where that comes from.
An example, I think, of that. I mean, some of these things I think are burned very deep in our hindbrains. You've probably seen the funny videos of people setting a cucumber on the floor behind a cat.
Yes.
And the cat turns around and just absolutely freaks out. The cat thinks it sees a snake.
Yeah.
And it jumps. And that cat has probably never seen a snake in its life.
Yeah.
Yet something deep inside it tells it, threat. It jumps.
Yep, that's right. And it could just be that the cat is surprised and people on YouTube are stupid for terrorizing their cats. But...
this is true.
Although I have to admit, I probably would like to try that. I think that'd be pretty cool. All right.
I would never do such thing.
No. Or did you?
Not me. I don't have a cat.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's go to the rosette while we can here, if we can. See if we can get there. Kaboom, and off we go.
Yeah, somebody asked about the rosette earlier.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're gonna catch dome or not. We'll see. Well, actually, we're gonna come back to the right a little, because right now we're over here. We're on Alzir when we're trying to get back down to here, so we might be catching it okay. Well, we definitely see the cluster here. That's the cluster in the heart of the Rosette Nebula. Really cool. I think it's pretty neat. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Okay, so now let's do this. Let's actually take a 30-second shot here at, I want to go up to, say, 32,000 here. Okay, and give it time to acquire. Let's hope it did. I'm not sure if it can see at that point because it's on the other side of the scope. It might have a problem, but I'm going to give it a shot. Why not? Okay. This is be 30 seconds at 32,000 to see what we're gonna capture with the rosette. We might capture a piece of the dome for all I know, and you'll see a red glow. But that's hopefully not the issue. You might also notice there's banding in this broadcast here for the from the dome. That's because the dome monitor on the computer there was left on. So I left it on. Let's see what we got. Wow, it looks pretty. Looks really pretty. And you can see this is the rosette. This is gorgeous. Let me just point out to those of you that haven't seen it before. The rosette is right here. It goes all the way around. Larger than the field of view we have here. There's a large area here. It kind of goes right around the central star cluster, which has cleared the center of gas. And it's been pushing it out for a long time as this cluster was born some time ago. And you can see some dark lanes up here and some really interesting intricacy over here. I think that would just make a stunning photo to capture just a portion of the rosette. And I know the Hubble has done that, right? Remember, the Hubble's taken some really interesting photos of the rosette. You know? So
Hubble has such a, it's a high power. Its images are actually in very small areas.
They are. They are.
And I guess they have to build up a mosaic if they want to try to show a larger portion.
Yeah, which is what they do. You're right. Yep. Hey, my daily side, what's happening? Yeah, I always like to make an effort to recognize when people are here. If I miss anyone, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I didn't see you. That's good. I'm glad you're doing fine. All right, let's see what we get for this. I probably didn't let it acquire long enough. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Actually, it would have been helpful if I actually was taking the exposure. I've been working on this Navy model in my shop. It's a 10-foot long submarine, and it's I just got it together today in 3 sections. Then once it's together, I've got to then get all the detail on it and get it looking like it's supposed to look. It's quite a task. Man, I got to have it done before the end of the month.
What kind of submarine?
Virginia class.
Oh, cool.
Wow, look at this. This is really pretty. This is going to be an exquisite little image of a portion of the nebula. Look at that. Let's just go to here. You can see a lot of detail in here. See that? Here's the weird thing, guys. My telescope, this one here, the SkyTour LiveStream West telescope that we're testing here in East, it's an f8, meaning it's slower photographically than the f6.3 we had. But this is producing superior images to the f6.3. And I told Daryl, and the telescope's sitting behind me, so I hope it doesn't hear me. I don't think I can go back. I mean, I guess once you go to this type of system, I don't think there's going back,
Onward and upward.
Yeah. Oops. Sorry. I actually messed up a little bit. Sorry. Wow, but I'll tell you, it's something else. You know this. God, that's pretty. Jeez, that's pretty. I don't know. I think now it's time to take another photo. Don't you?
Just one more.
Just one more. All right, we're gonna do. I'm gonna drop it back to 20,000, but go up to a minute, just for fun. No, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. You know why? It's not gonna really be any much different, and I get rid of the noise anyway. So I'll do this. I'll go back to that and do it again. There we go.
Mark, excuse me a moment, please.
Sure thing. Okay, let's all go hide. Daryl comes back and there's nobody here. Hey, what's going on? Here's crickets. Where'd everybody go? Wow. Unbelievable. Yes, really pretty. Do another one of those. I'll do a few of these and I'll stack these for you and have them available. Go up to SkyTour LiveStream on Facebook and you'll actually see the Crab Nebula we did the other night, all processed. It's really just incredible looking. It looks really pretty. Okay, there we go. Wow. There's so much detail in there waiting to come out. You have no idea, but you're going to see it when I show you. Okay. So a lot of these interesting little nebulae in here. Dark nebulas. These little streaks, and they're called dark lanes. They're just areas where there's a lot of dark dust, and this dust basically is in the interstellar medium, and for whatever reason it takes on these shapes of these tendrils you see, probably because of the fact that it's being pushed away from this star cluster we see here. Look at this intricate little set of tendrils over here. See those, Daryl?
I do.
Those are actually really interesting looking. Look at that. There's a lot of detail in there. Yeah.
This one is just screaming to be stacked and processed.
I know. That's why I keep taking 30-second photos of it.
I kind of figured.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Dee. I think it is pretty. You know. Fan Expo, where's that, Daily? Fan Expo, where is that? Texas. What is Fan Expo? What's that have to do with what? Fan of? Is it related to science fiction? Is it related to astronomy?
Speaking of expos and such, I mentioned to Bill the other night, you guys, you're so close. You ought to go to the NEAF meet there, and I think it's just north of New York City in April or whenever that is.
Okay, we're back. I think I might have accidentally cut off the last 30 seconds you were talking, Daryl. I apologize. I just realized that.
Oh, well, darn it.
I know.
No, well, talking about the Fan Expo reminded me. I mentioned to Bill the other night when you were on there about you guys ought to go to the NEAF meet there north of New York City in April or whenever that is. That's the big astronomy gathering. The vendors, all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah, I'd like to do a talk at NEAF. I'd like to, and you mentioned it, Daryl. I should have followed through with that, but my head is filled with getting this scope ready for transport out west. My head is filled with trying to do this Navy project and get it done. You know, my head is filled with selling my tractor. I want to get rid of the tractor. I actually did mute you, D. I apologize. I hit the wrong button. It wasn't intentional.
Tractor.
Yeah, I have
you're a man of many parts. What kind of tractor?
It's a front loader backhoe that I got to actually dig the pier and so forth for the observatory here, and to trench 140 foot worth of cables and conduits for power to the outbuilding, the shed that's here on the property. It's a
what color is the tractor?
It's orange. It's a Kubota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a B21. It's a 25 horsepower diesel front loader, can lift 900 pounds, and the backhoe yanks out stumps like no tomorrow if I want to. But I've used it for what I want to use it for. So if anyone wants to buy a tractor, it's up for grabs here on The Price is Right.
Cool.
Yeah, I won't be transporting it to Arizona at all because it's going to cost more to bring it there than it'll probably return on its investment.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. And you see in here, look at this, there's more in here. It's just, wow. This is going to be a nice little close-up of the Rosette Nebula. I'm glad we got a chance to do this. And it's only 30-second shots, but they're perfect. I could do more with, 1 minute, but I'm not going to make you sit through that. Hey, Marco. How you doing? Yeah, I'm guilty of muting the sound. I apologize. Daryl was in the middle of talking, and I accidentally hit mute. Oh, how bad of me. You'll also notice I don't have the operations camera on tonight. That's no great loss. I think you can agree that it's better to sometimes have an unobstructed view. I'm just going to keep taking more of these shots until you guys tell me to stop it. So I'm sorry about that. There's the actual view. I don't have the camera facing me right now, but it could, and I don't even have the lights down. Actually, I should have the lights on red because that explains why I didn't have night vision when I went out before. Darn it all. All right. Oh, man. I gotta tell you guys, I am not used to a telescope that performs this well. I am just not. This is... I will have trouble going to sleep. I will not want to sleep if there's stars out. I know I won't. I know I won't want to sleep if there's stars out. This is just...
It'll be nice once you stack that and process it. I mean, you got so much fine detail going on there, and when you process it, that'll all turn red from the hydrogen alpha, and
it will.
That'll just make a hell of a picture.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to pulling out this detail. And the nice thing is the F8 is so much. It handles the pixels in the camera so much better because it's a magnified view, and so you have more pixels per, for lack of a better term, square inch. They actually, the pixels are spread tighter with the FA, so we actually have a much better usage of the pixels. A small, delicate detail can be lost when you only have like 30 pixels to show it. But if you have many more pixels to show it, when you look at it in a magnified view like this, then you can see further details that you just miss. That would look muddy in a wider field. The higher power is just, it's just, well, without words. That's amazing. I gotta tell you, what can I say? I'm astonished. I am astonished. So, boy, hey, you know what? Here we are. We're down here, and the clouds haven't attacked us yet. I wonder if we should go up and look at Hubble's Variable Nebula and see if it looks different.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, we're going to go there next. But first, we'll come back here and see what the final image of the rosette looks like. And there we go. Beautiful image. Okay. And now we're going to have about, I'd say, 10 of those, maybe 11, 12 of those to stack. And meanwhile, we're going to go now to, hello, it's me, I'm back. Now we're going to go over to Hubble's Variable Nebula, which is this little guy right here. We've seen it before in SkyTour LiveStream. We've actually taken a trip to Hubble's Variable Nebula, watch the stars in the live view as they go racing away. Boom, and the telescope is now moving toward a star that will then be used. It's going to use Alzir again, and from Alzir it knows exactly where Hubble's Variable Nebula is relative to it, and we'll see it. So as soon as Alzir is brought in and centered, then the nebula is next on the agenda. The high precision pointing, there it goes, and now we're heading down to the nebula. The high precision pointing is really the best thing, the best way to capture some fainter objects, because the telescope knows exactly where they are, especially if it has a reference point to begin with, and that's what it's doing. So, okay, so I'm going to guess that it's down there. I'll bring it up a little bit, and we're going to do a quick test view. A quick, I'll do 15 seconds here at 32,000. We should see it. Hey, Amal, how you doing? Okay, 15-second shot here. Let's see where Hubble's Variable Nebula is. Oh, it's near the top. Check it out. Look at the detail. Wow. Oh man, this is what I talk about with the spread. I'll get back to it. Don't worry. I'm gonna actually bring it over a little bit this way, and then down. I went too far. Okay, now we're gonna come back here for a second and check it out. So that is, that's looking pretty cool, Daryl. Look at that. And naturally, we got a satellite.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you got some nice modeling going on in the nebula there.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We could actually try to cut down the ISO substantially to try and capture more detail. That's another possibility. So why don't we actually do that? Yeah, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna drop this down from 32,000 because I know we can guide on it, and I'm gonna go to 6,400, and go for a minute. Nah, we'll go. Yeah, we'll go for a minute. All right, let's try that and see what we get. Ooh, I'm so excited. I'm sure. I'm not sure that the telescope is clear, but it might be. Yeah, but we'll see. Yeah. Hubble's very
Mark,
big.
can
Yeah.
you tell us again what's causing the rapid fluctuation of the light and dark modeling in the Hubble Variable Nebula?
Actually, I was gonna tell you. Hubble's Variable Nebula. People think that it's being illuminated by this star right here. It's not. It's a true reflection nebula where there really are reflection nebula as well. This is one of those where the nebula is reflecting light from a star inside. Okay, a cloud that's that's here. It's the star that's actually causing this illumination is in here, and the prevailing thought is that because it varies in brightness, that there has to be some type of bands of dark dust that are circling a young star inside this dark nebula. Okay, and that dark nebula is hiding the star that's causing it from us. This one just happens to be a field star. It's not really actually causing it. So when we look at this nebula, we see this modeling that's in here, but that changes over time because sometimes the dust circling the star inside this nebula is blocking part of the star inside, and thus it makes a shadow on the nebula, and that's exactly what we're seeing is sort of a shadow. It's the weirdest thing, and so that's why it's called Hubble's Variable Nebula, because it does vary in brightness. All right, because of that. Now I think I did that was 1 minute. Let's drop it down to 3200. Okay, and do it again.
I know we took looks at the Hubble Variable Nebula last year several times, and you can see that it was different every time we looked at it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The modeling, the pattern in there, it changed every time.
Yeah, and we spaced out when we viewed it so you can actually see the changes. I have all those changes. I'm gonna put together a post that I'll stick in SkyTour LiveStream and on Facebook and all that to illustrate what it's actually doing. So we'll talk about that again, I'm sure. It's a great nebula. I looked at it with a 20-inch refractor when I was doing parallax studies. During the parallax study, one of the program stars was right near the Hubble's Variable Nebula, so I just dropped Hubble's Variable Nebula in there, and I started looking at it. I was just astonished. I mean, refractors give among the best views, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So it was just beautiful. Okay, so we dropped down the ISO a little bit, and now you can actually see more detail in there. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? That's unlike anything that we were able to do in the past. You can see the modeling in here. You can see the changes of color. You can really see some really excellent detail. That's amazing. And you can almost, I mean, if you ever saw the Hubble Space Telescope photo of this, it's amazing. It almost doesn't look the same, but I can actually see the Hubble in this with this view. I think that's pretty cool. That's beautiful, I gotta say. It's really beautiful. Wow. And we could drop it even more and go even longer, but I don't want to do that. You know why? Because there's another thing we want to look at, isn't there?
There is?
Yes. Why, yes, there is.
Oh, golly, what could it be?
Maybe the cave? Don't know if we'll see it. The cone nebula, I mean, not the cave. cone. All right. So I recorded the Hubble's variable nebula one more time. So now we have a record of it. Chuck Norris, I don't know what the question is. Is it, can we see Orion? I mean, yeah, we can. I might be missing your question. Sorry. We were in Orion earlier. We were looking at Orion's Nebula, Flame, Horsehead, Alnatok, Betelgeuse. Okay, so there's the Christmas tree cluster. And let's just do this. I want to bring it up and head west a little bit. Now it's acquiring. Yeah, we're acquiring, and that's probably fine. Okay, just waiting, and I'm not going to do... I'm just going to do 30 seconds here. And we're going to bring this way up initially. We'll do 30,000, 32,000. All right, and now let's take a 30-second shot of the Christmas tree cluster. And you can see the upside-down Christmas tree. There's the base of the tree. It goes up like that, like that. And at the bottom of the Christmas tree, on the top of the tree, is the Cone Nebula. And Cone Nebula is somewhat elusive, but we'll try it. Depends how high in the sky it is, so I gotta check that. How high in the sky is it? Okay. It's no, it's 56.5 degrees, so that's actually pretty good. Let's go see. Oh, look at that. So there is the Christmas tree cluster. You can see that it has kind of like the Running Man. It has some blue and some of this reddish stuff. And then down here, I believe that's the cone right there. And I gotta bring it up a little more to see it better. You know what I mean, Daryl? I think you do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna raise it up. I'm on a magnified screen here. So let me just get the cone centered, and we're gonna let the Christmas tree cluster will go off. So there's 30 seconds. We got 30 seconds. Let's do another 30-second shot of the cone where it is right here and check it out. Okay, here we go. Should be acquired by now. And off we go into the wild blue yonder. So you can see the Christmas tree cluster with this beautiful nebula associated with it. And one thing that I think is really interesting is some of the other details you see here. Like this little dark nebula with a star right at the very tip of it. And it's got some red nebula on the other side here. You see that? It's got some really neat detail in here that we just didn't see before.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see now. Let's take a look here. I believe that's the cone right there. This dark spot has this little illuminated part up here. That would actually come out pretty good if I were to take 1 million pictures of it. I just don't think I'll take 1 million pictures on you, because that's, we're about seeing things in SkyTour LiveStream, but you know how it is. I get so excited that you can't stop me. I go off down the rabbit hole right there.
Just one more.
The common refrain. Do you guys remember?
It's becoming that way.
Yeah. Do you guys remember in the past? I was like, okay, one more object, then I got to go to bed. Okay, just one more, then one more. Amanda used to laugh at me. Just one more, just one more. And the 2-hour stream turned into 5 hours. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
5-hour stream. What was I thinking? I was thinking astronomy's beautiful and I'm not going to waste a good night. I can always sleep.
I think I could see a little dark patch down toward the bottom below the brightest star in that field.
Yeah.
If you're shooting another exposure now, maybe, yeah, that right there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the cone, the cave?
I think it's the cone. I think this is it right here, and then there's a little light spot on top of it. But you know, I don't quite remember. I think this is it though. The cone has these 2 little stars in it right there, and I'm catching them, which is amazing because I've never seen them before. So we're clearly breaking new ground. This telescope, Jesus, when this is in Arizona, we're not going to have to shoot at 32,000. A 30-second shot is going to be like overwhelmingly bright, and the things out there are going to show up as it's going to be like, I won't want to run a telescope anywhere else but under dark sky after that. Yeah, Carol's right. I'm incorrigible. But I do want to say hi to Daisy and Zoe Amethyst. Hey, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. Yeah, that's it right there. I just got to... why is that? Wondering if there's a cloud. Kind of has a haze to it that the other one didn't. Maybe it did. Let's see. About the same. Sky conditions change, moment to moment. So, like, you see the 2 stars here? They don't look really clear. Yet over in this one, okay, they do look more clear.
I see that.
Yeah. So these 2 little stars in this image, this is a keeper, but these images over here, even though they're good, they may not be keepers because they might cause these two little tiny points of stars to be muddied. So I might throw these 2 shots away. I say 2 shots because for every photograph I take, it takes a JPEG and it takes this RAW file I was telling you about. The JPEG is what people look at and stuff and say, oh, wow, that's a cool shot. But the RAW file is what I process. I never, ever process the JPEGs. That's like a, what's the word? That's like a Rolls Royce to a, I don't know.
Kia?
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's like comparing a Rolls Royce to a Kia. You don't use a Kia. You just use a Rolls Royce. Now here, see, those 2 stars are beautiful. So that's a keeper. And if I stay zoomed in, actually like this, okay. See those 2 stars now? If I stay zoomed in now, and I go back and I take the picture, the picture is going to come in when I go into this again. The picture is going to come in the exact spot that I'm in. So no matter how far in I zoom, okay, that photo is going to, when it comes in, it's going to actually overlay right there. You'll actually see it come in right there so that I can see how the picture looks relative to the previous one right away. And I kind of like that feature. I very much like that feature. So you'll watch here in a second. You'll see it come in. Right? And there it comes. And now you can see that it still looks pretty good. And we can now go back and just compare it to the previous shot. Right? And you see it doesn't look that bad. So these are both keepers. Yeah, Chuck Norris. The bell issue is one that actually people have been complaining about, not just for our stream, but for a lot of streams. They changed the way notifications work, and it's like, well, why monkey with success? You know, why monkey with success? But I'm not complaining. I don't want to complain because I don't want to get booted for 90 days again in streaming. Boy, when they did that, I was so mad. It was for they said I uploaded a video that had content in it that was not suitable. Well, there was no video. I had no video, so it was a mistake. And I tried to appeal it, and it's like they didn't know what I was talking about. So it's like it was really silly. This is gonna be beautiful, Daryl. You know, or as Arnold says, I think that's gonna be beautiful. I like it. I like it. Hey, here's Amanda. How you doing? Hey, Amanda. How are you? Let us know if you want to come in, Amanda. You can certainly join us. Okay, we'll take a couple more. Amanda, I usurped your role by, not intentionally, but I had to talk about the different, stellar types tonight. So I apologize. I had to do that. But she'll be able to yell at me in a moment anyway, because she's going to join us. Let's see here.
Hello.
And here she is. Hello, Amanda.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm hearing an echo. Okay, it's gone now.
Okay.
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Daryl's on mute.
I see that. Hi, Daryl. You're on mute, though.
Yeah.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
Welcome.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
I'm all right, thanks.
How's that blanket?
Oh, so warm, so heavy.
Tell everybody about the blanket so they know what's going on.
I think some of them might know. Amongst other things, Daryl sent me a beautiful weighted blanket to help me sleep at night and to help me with anxiety. And it's wonderful, and it's heavy. It's 15 pounds. It's really heavy.
I like those heavy blankets.
Beautiful.
I really like those.
Glad it's working for you.
It is. I've been sleeping way too much lately, though. I don't know if it's coincidence or...
Well, I remember you telling me not long before Christmas that you were having a really hard time sleeping. And I thought, well, heck, maybe this would help her. So maybe you're catching up, charging your batteries now.
It is.
More power to you.
It is. It really is.
Good.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
You're very welcome.
You're darling. You're too good to me.
Oh.
Hey, it's true.
You just need some sleep, that's all.
That's funny.
Well, she must need sleep if she thinks I'm a darling.
Oh, come on now.
That's funny.
Anyway, what were we looking at?
This is the image we're taking is actually of. Well, I can't. I have to show you. Here we are. It's called the. I was going to call it the cave again. It's not the cave. It's the cone. You can see this vertical little dark thing here, and there's these two little stars sitting right above it, right here, and then inside of it, there are these two stars that are just beautiful. And the previous telescope didn't have a prayer of seeing those, but this one I can see those and more. So I'm really excited about this telescope. And by the way, these photos at 30 seconds. I took photos of 5 minutes and longer, and the telescope automatically guides to keep the telescope directly on the object we're guiding on. It's really amazing.
Amanda, where he's pointing is right at the tip of the Christmas tree cluster, too.
Yeah, I'll show her right now, yeah. So, this is the Christmas tree cluster, and where is it in the sky? Well, it's right near Orion, which is right here. There's Orion the Hunter, and you see the Hunter there. And then right here in Monoceros, this is the Unicorn, and right at it's the horn of the Unicorn, which is where the Christmas tree cluster is.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, we looked at Hubble's Variable Nebula as well, and it looks better than we've seen it in a long time. So there's another Christmas tree cluster shot, and I'll be done with this here after this shot, and then we can move on. But I'll just show Amanda because it's fun.
Mark, do you want proof that everything is better with Amanda? My screen just cleared up again as soon as she came on with the call.
Wow. See?
I told you this happened the other night.
You did.
You know, my look at your Skype screen here has been fuzzy, and every time Amanda shows up, it turns crystal clear.
Wow.
So, thank you, Amanda.
Haha.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, he's right. Everything's better with Amanda.
That's very sweet of you guys.
Oh, by the way, guys, if you, I'm not sure if we're gonna have a show Sunday. Not because I can't do it, but because
Bill can.
He can?
Yeah, we can do a show Sunday.
Oh, okay. Then I can tell you, our show Sunday is going to be about the star Betelgeuse, which we looked at earlier. The feature will be Betelgeuse. We're going to talk about the evolution of the star, how it became what it is, and it's really going to be a great show. Because, of course, we'll have Amanda there, and we should have Daryl there, too, yes?
Oh, no doubt.
I remember when Daryl used to say, I don't know if I want to do that. And now he's there every week. See, you can't keep an astronomer down for long. You can't.
Oh.
Yeah. Especially a good one. You're a good astronomer. Come on.
I love
I'm
that
a
he's
bad
the show.
astronomer.
No, you're a wonder. Oh, did you tell him? Did you tell him what you did a few days ago, a week or so ago? How long has it been? I have no track of time.
Is this when
Daryl,
when he
did you
took the
tell
telescope out? When he took his
About-
When you dragged it the other day?
the new telescope?
Well, I mentioned it, yeah. I dragged out my old red 8-inch f8
Yeah.
reflector telescope a week ago, Tuesday it is now. Boy, how time flies.
Wow.
You might have seen pictures of it before. It's sitting out in my driveway, a big red tube on a silver base, and
Yeah.
that's the first telescope I ever designed and built way back in 1996. And I took it out and took it for a drive the other night, and it worked great.
Wow.
Looked at Orion Nebula, looked at Sirius, looked at the moon.
Now, when
I
you
looked at Betelgeuse.
when you looked at the Orion Nebula, did you see a green tinge? Is that what you were telling me?
Yes, yeah. There's been some debate about that in the past, whether it's going to look like gray in an eyepiece, or I've said that it always seems in my mind's eye to be green, and by golly, that thing was green as could be the other night
Yep.
in the 8-inch.
I believe it. I actually believe
Had
it.
a really clear night.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe it. All right, so we did some of those. Where do you want to go next, Daryl? I mean, I'm giving you some choices too. I would like to see what we can see in Canis Major. I know we have a few things down here to see. I know what I want to see. I want to see Thor's helmet. I haven't seen Thor's helmet in a long time, like with this. Oh, I'm going there. Never mind, Daryl.
Yes.
Going to Thor's helmet.
All right. Well, as Captain Kirk told Lieutenant Sulu, indulge yourself.
Indulge yourself. Yeah. Thor's helmet's an interesting location, guys, because it's a place where there's a hot star called the Wolf-Rayet star, which is... it's not gone supernova, nor is it a dying star yet. It's on its way to probably becoming a supernova. And it first it blows off these outer layers of itself. Way, that's serious, by the way, right there, that we're aligning on. And then once aligned, it's going to go right directly to Thor's helmet. This is the high precision mode. So you'll see it stop and then zip away. Ready, set, zip away, please. There we go. Yeah, and so the Wolf-Rayet star blows off its outer layers, mostly hydrogen gas in some cases, but sometimes there's no hydrogen gas, and that makes it even more colossally enigmatic. I haven't seen this in this telescope at all yet, so this is going to be amazing to see, because we got such detail out of these fine filaments in the Rosette earlier tonight and the Crab Nebula the other night. I can only imagine what this is going to look like. First of all, is it going to see it? That doesn't look promising right now. That might be a problem, but I'm going to try the shot anyway. I'll do a quick shot here just to make sure we're not. I'll do 20 seconds at 32,000 just to see if we have anything blocking our way. If we do, I'll be running out in the freaking cold. It's like around 20 here, maybe a little less. Fahrenheit, not Celsius. Of course.
It was like minus 25 Celsius here today.
I know. You told me that, and I was like, wow. Ugh.
I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but
It's cold.
it was cold here, so I figured it would be cold there.
Daryl, I figured out what this is. This little arc here.
Whoops, excuse me. It is. What is it?
This is part of a large ring from the diffraction image from Sirius in this case. And I see we've got a little bit of dome affecting us here, so I have to move the dome. So, can I be right back? I'll go move it.
Sure.
Well, thank you for joining us, Amanda.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Of course.
Sorry I was late.
No, it's all right. You were on KGRA with Don Ecker listening to Hoagland, right?
I was. I'm
Awesome.
sorry. I feel
That's
bad.
fine.
I feel guilty.
I don't.
shouldn't
I
be
think
here.
you shouldn't be. All right, I'll be right back.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for fixing my monitor while you're at it, Amanda.
Yeah, I didn't know that was an ongoing thing.
It is. 2 or 3 times now. When Mark shares his Skype screen with me, it's always fuzzy. I cannot read like the chat conversation, for instance, and the image in his page is typically rather fuzzy also. That's why I keep hopscotching back and forth between Skype and the YouTube page. You come on, and all of a sudden, bang. I mean, everything is just crisp as could be.
Yeah.
Plain as day.
It's crazy. You would think with the more people, the more lag or something.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but
Oh, hey.
it works.
working.
So keep up the good work.
It was crazy. The last 2 nights I was playing video games with Bill. His computer froze. Well, it was not his computer. Like, I can't remember the days, but like one day he was playing Five Nights at Freddy's, and then he went to Outlast, and at the end of the game, everything froze up on Skype. I couldn't hear him, and I couldn't see the game. It just froze. So then the next day, he was playing the same game again, and it kept freezing. And then he took his camera and pointed the camera at the screen instead of sharing screens. And like a half hour later, his entire computer shut down.
Wow.
In the middle of a stream, he couldn't do anything with the stream, and couldn't get back into chat to tell people what happened. It was crazy.
Huh. That sounds like he divided by 0 or something.
Oh, divide by 0 error. I know it well. Okay, well, sorry, but it turns out that the reason that I couldn't see Thor's helmet, which is right here, is because of the fact that there's a very light cloud cover blanketing the entire sky. So we basically got lucky in these previous shots, and we probably actually might have had clouds in here and don't even know it. So
Maybe my timing isn't that great after all.
No, it's not you, of course, but here's the Rosette Nebula we took before. See, look at it's the cluster which has that ring around it, looks like a rose, and look at all this detail in here. I'm gonna be stacking the stuff out of that one, I tell you. Yeah, and then we took some shots of the Orion Nebula for you, Amanda.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we took some shots of the Running Man Nebula to show people the difference between these blue reflection nebula and the teal bands in the Orion Nebula, which are oxygen. These are just scattered dust particles, scattering by dust particles. Then we took some pictures of the flame, but the guiding telescope was somewhat obscured and it didn't guide as well. And then we took some shots of the Horsehead Nebula, which actually looked somewhat impressive for what it was. And you can see it there. I didn't even stack those there from the other night that I took. And then we looked at...
I like the flame and the Horsehead. I can actually make out what those are supposed to be.
Yeah.
They're very, very clear. I could identify those if you just showed me and didn't tell me.
Okay.
I think Orion now, too.
We also took shots of Betelgeuse. Okay, here's Betelgeuse right here. Beautiful Betelgeuse. And we compared it to the same shot, same amount of time, same ISO, same sensitivity, of course, with Aldebaran. And you'll notice that Aldebaran is brighter than Betelgeuse. And Betelgeuse was always brighter than Aldebaran, and now it's dimmer by far. See this ring around Aldebaran? You look for the similar ring, and that ring is just a light artifact. But you see that this similar ring around Betelgeuse is not there. I mean, it's there, but it's very faint. And it's just an artifact of the camera. But Betelgeuse doesn't make it as big as Aldebaran. Yeah, go ahead.
You're saying Aldebaran is brighter?
Yeah, right now, because Betelgeuse has been dimming for some inexplicable reason we don't know, and that's part of Sunday's show about Betelgeuse. We're going to talk about Betelgeuse.
Because, I was just wondering, and maybe you're going to talk about this Sunday.
We are, yeah. But go ahead.
No. I think I might have figured it out. Well, no, because we're saying, Betelgeuse is going to be supernova if it hasn't already.
Correct.
We're just waiting to see the effects.
Mm-hmm.
Is Aldebaran close to going supernova? Does its brightness have anything to do with that, or just coincidence?
Aldebaran's actually very close to us compared to Betelgeuse. Actually, I can show you. Okay, if we go,
it's about 10 times as close, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm, just about.
So that's why it's so bright.
Yeah. So Betelgeuse here, now the distance given, for Betelgeuse, this says 497 light years. It's more like 700 light years. So this program's not entirely accurate. But if we go up to Aldebaran and we look at Aldebaran, okay, we'll see that Aldebaran's actually 66 light years away. So as Daryl says, about 10 times, Betelgeuse is 10 times further, but it's always been brighter. And now Aldebaran is brighter because Betelgeuse is dimming. And that's the thing we don't understand why.
Right. And if you go out and actually look at them to the naked eye, they're not far apart from each other in the sky, that Aldebaran is obviously brighter. Well, let me rephrase that. Betelgeuse is now markedly dimmer than Aldebaran is, when traditionally it's always been quite a bit brighter.
Yeah, it's been in the top 10 in terms of bright stars, but now it doesn't even hit the top 20. It's actually like 23rd. So it's actually quite dim. So we actually imaged quite a lot tonight, and the telescope what I did was I actually used that auto guiding system, and you can see this here is. This is the Flaming Star Nebula, which has some blue nebula and so forth. Then they started taking longer exposures, and that's going to bring out more details, so we're going to be able to pull that out too. I did a 5-minute exposure of this nebula here. This is called the Northern Trifid Nebula, kind of like the summertime Trifid Nebula. But this is the exposure I did of it. Normally, you see now the dark lanes in it. Okay, yeah, this is going to make a real pretty stack too. I did a bunch of these. I did these before we actually came on the air, so I could talk about them, but not actually make people suffer through it, because people want to be entertained too. I did a shot in the Pleiades. This is the Merope Nebula here. You can see it looks like that brushed dust in there. That's actually doing what the Running Man is doing. It's actually scattering, the dust is scattering the light particles. Oh, and I took something else for you, and I wonder if it's here. Oh, it's not it. No. Oh, that was the beginning of the night. Oh, it's the other night. But you know what? I might have it. Oh, I don't have it. I kept it, yes, but I have to. Let me go see if I can grab it. I want to show you a photo I took just for Amanda the other night, so I'll dig it out. Just hang on, folks. First of all, let me get us back to a current photo. Put us back in the mood for a really pretty view of the Orion Nebula. Here we are. Okay, now while we're waiting, I'm going to just quickly hunt down something for Amanda, because this was really, really pretty. And let's see if I can find it really fast. I think it's in here. Just a minutis. I'm looking. Oh, is this it? Okay, we're on the right track. We're on the right track. Okay, here we go. This is
Can
one.
you hear that in the background?
With the music?
The wind? No.
No.
My background? No. It's like
Okay.
squealing.
Let me see if I can.
Windy here too.
Really?
Oh yeah. It was buffeting the house a little while ago.
Wow. Okay, where
Is that the
is?
Cat's Eye Nebula?
Yeah, not the cat's eye, no, but it's one that I wanted to show you, and I just want to get rid of this. Okay, and then bring up this. Okay. This right here is the Eskimo.
Oh.
Oh, cool.
And check it out. Now
Well, that's nice.
isn't that
It's
beautiful?
very pretty. Yeah. Love the color.
Mm-hmm.
I figure you knew I would.
I know, that's exactly right. Now, this is also called the clown face.
The clown face?
Yeah, it's also called a clown face.
I guess better.
I know, you want to see a clown face, and I can't help you with that. I don't know where they are. But isn't that beautiful, guys? This is just...
It's beautiful.
This is... And if you notice, we zoom in on it. There's detail inside this shell of gas being expelled from this star in the middle. The star is a white dwarf, and it has multiple layers. Multiple shells have been ejected from this star. The color, of course, is due to what, Amanda? Do you know, Amanda?
Hydrogen 2? No, oxygen 2?
Yeah, 3. Oxygen 3. Very good.
3.
Yeah, it's actually...
I was getting there.
You were. Doubly ionized oxygen, yeah. Hydrogen is red, but... yeah, so there it is. But, when we look at it in the sky, it's a tiny little dot, until you zoom in a little bit, right? But I just thought I would share that with you guys. That was one I did the other night.
That's what I see impressive about that is how well it holds definition as you zoomed in on it.
It did, didn't it?
You could see the fine detail in the thing as you zoomed in.
Yeah, and you got to thank the auto guider for that, and you got to thank the telescope optics, and the fact that I spent some time making sure the focus was as tight as I could get it, really good. But I'm afraid the live views for tonight are over, guys, because we have the clouds now out there, and it's I'm okay with it because of the fact that we had a really good night. We had I streamed with the new scope more than I thought I would. I know that we talked about doing this. I'm really happy that we could do it. But
So what did you do? Did you swap out the old scope for the new scope, or are they both in the dome?
No, I have the new one up in the pier in there to troubleshoot it, test it. I've written software for it, and hardware. I got hardware too I put together for it, which I have behind me, and then software to drive the hardware. And it's going to automate a lot of the processes out in Arizona. And I'm testing it here, getting it all working here, because the last thing I want to do is get it all the way out to Arizona and find out that something out there isn't working and I can't figure out why. So I'm going to figure out all the bugs here. But next month we pour the foundation pad for the observatory in Arizona. We got a concrete company that's going to drive a truck out into the desert and deliver concrete with a cement truck to us. And it's going to pour the floor. And while the floor is being poured, I'm going to put in the hooks that will be are going to hold the pier down to the concrete, and it's going to be really, really. Then from there, it's smooth sailing after that, because the building is going to be a flat top building. It's going to be 10 by 10 or 10 by 12. Don't tell anybody. It's going to have the top is going to slide right off at a flat roof. I'll just have a vent or two in the roof. That's all. And then I've got the software written to roll the roof off and do all the things it has to do. So it's all coming together. I see the end of the tunnel. So I'm thinking that by the time the spring rolls around, we might have SkyTour LiveStream West up and running. So maybe sooner, actually. Could be over the winter. I have no idea. I mean, it's very possible. And I got to thank everybody that donated in the GoFundMe. I mean, it literally made it possible. We had several big donors. And they chose anonymity, which is amazing, because when you donate that kind of money, you would think they'd want to be known. But that tells you who they really are. They want to see it happen. And I'm just so humbled by that, Yeah, but anyone that knows what we do, they know that we do it because we don't have an ego. We're not looking for a business angle. We're trying to get astronomy out there to everybody. So people are really good about it. They really enjoy it, and I'm pleased to bring it to you. Daryl and Amanda are pleased to bring it to you, I'm sure. And I really, really love doing it. What can I tell you?
It shows.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm really just like beside myself and tickled with the fact that people show up to watch this stuff. It's just a beautiful experience for me. So I just want to thank you guys for that. And I'll leave it on the Orion Nebula tonight, because we have clouds now, but I have to go out and shut the dome before the precipitation comes. We might have some flurries wandering in. But guys, I just want to say thank you for coming out. James Small, hey, I didn't see her here before. Hello, how you doing? And then Pete Bodds is here. And I mentioned most of the other people here, I think. If I missed you, I apologize. I absolutely don't like doing that. I like to acknowledge everybody who makes an effort to come out here. Am I going to live stream the pouring of the concrete? Well, that's a good question. Good question. I have to first get the conduits in the ground first. I got to trench. This is on a 5-acre square area that's been totally leveled for the observatory. I'm just so amazed to see what they did out there. And so I have to actually take take and run Cat 5 cable, which runs networks. I've got to take that and bring it out there and then they got to make it a big enough conduit because there's going to be 2 piers in the building, not just one. One is for future expansion. Daryl and I were talking a little bit about it before, but we're not going to tell you what that is yet because I'm really not sure and I can't make any promises yet. But it should be big. It should be good. Hey, D. Smith, you're just back in time to say goodnight. Yeah, we got clouds here, D, but thank you for coming. We had a great time with you. So I will consider streaming the pouring of the concrete. At the very least, I will, if I can't stream it because I don't have the internet connection up and running out there, I promise I will record it and then upload it to the channel that very day, make sure it gets up there. All right, so that's no problem. But in any case, thank you guys for coming. Amanda, sorry you kind of joined us just to have to say goodnight now.
Yeah.
But the clouds...
I'm glad you guys had a good night, though.
Yeah, we did. Daryl and I were on for a little while beforehand doing some testing. We did it last night, too. And the testing last night, we actually found the right settings for the telescope. It was kind of found by desperation. We didn't really know what the settings were, so I just decided to try something radical. And radical worked. And now the shots we have tonight and the multiple time exposures we have for things like this object here, the Running Man. This was a 30-second shot without any guiding, and actually we had a problem with the guider on that one. But most of the shots came out just beautiful. And like, for instance, the Rosette Nebula. Okay, these just were stunning. Look at this. Okay, these are 30-second shots. And normally 30 seconds is the highest we would ever go with the other telescope because it couldn't guide properly. It couldn't guide on the stars like this telescope can. This one looks at the stars and it keeps them in there. So we got a new system. And like I said, I don't think I can ever go back. I can't ever go back. So now you only get bigger buckets. Bigger light buckets. That's what a telescope is, after all, right? A light bucket.
That's exactly what it is.
Anyway, from all of us here at SkyTour LiveStream, guys, thank you for coming, and we will be talking to you soon. I think we're going to hunker down for tomorrow because of a storm, but the next clear night, I will be with you, and maybe Amanda, and maybe Daryl. But
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Worst case scenario, we'll see you guys Sunday night on KGRA.
That's right.
Radio.com.
SkyTour Radio.
8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. And I haven't decided. We're gonna have to give Amanda a show to do for 2 hours. Don't you think we should give her one?
Oh my God.
Daryl, what do you think?
I think that would be fascinating.
Yeah, I like the way you said that.
That's one word for it.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun.
That's how Spock would say it.
Yes, that's right. Fascinating, Captain Spock. I think it would be a good idea to give her a show, but I don't know if it's a good idea now. So, all right. Well, look, guys. I've said it like for the last 15 minutes, I think. But just one more. That's like my Daryl was saying that tonight. Just one more. But that's sort of like my. I guess that's sort of like my nom de plume. There is like Mark, just one more, D'Antonio. But you guys have a good night, okay? And we will talk to you the next clear night. So remember, when you go out, just keep looking up.
Except while you're driving.
Good night, everybody.
There you go. All right, folks.
Sorry, I was distracted by
I
chat.
was waiting. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Good night. Okay, I'm back for just 1 second because Dave Schmidt, where the heck were you? We've been going all night long here, and you were nowhere to be found, and now you come back as we're signing off.
Yeah. And we were talking about you too when you got here.
Daryl was, I wasn't. It's okay. Just kidding. Hey, sorry, David. Yeah, you missed it, but if you ever get a chance to look at the stream again, it is up there. We did some really nice imaging tonight. But you guys have a good night. And again, good night. We'll see you later. And yes, good night, Marianne. Thank you for dropping back in to say good night. All right, we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.